So let's start my Python code. So I'm going to save that, new file, and we'll call this bathtub model v1. So as we go through, I'll increase that version number. Right, and we'll take the code that we were interested in and we'll define it as a function. So we'll say def get derivatives, and we're going to pass it a variable list, which is going to be a, b, c, d. Let's just say it's a list of values VA, VB, VC, VD at a given time, at one instant of time, and then we'll say returns RA, RB, RC, and RD. So the rate of change of those values at that time, at that instant. Okay, so that is what we've just done here. So we've calculated these. So to begin with, we need to, if we want to keep our code sort of very readable, I can say, look, VA equals variable list 0. So if I'm defining it as I've done it here, VB equals the second element, index 1, VC equals the next one, VD equals the third one. Now I'm just going to say shortcut we can actually say VA, VB, VC, VD equals variable list. So it can say take the 4 elements of variable list and assign them to these 4 variable names in turn. Okay, so let me just say VA, VB, VC, VD. So in the command line, I'm just going to say 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, what is the value of VA? 0. The value of VD is 3. So I've assigned those 4 numbers by passing it a list, and the 4 elements of this list get assigned to the 4 values here. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that commented out. But it's useful to know, or it's something handy to remember, and it can save you I think it's still understandable. Once you're happy with this, it's still understandable, maybe even more understandable than this. Right, so we've got loaded in the values. Now we just copy the code that we wrote before, and also we might just want to define our k values. So I'm going to store them in this function. So if I put them all together, k1 equals 1, k2 equals 1, k3 equals 1. That's kind of saying that if in 1 unit of time, 1 times VA, the flow is going to be 1 times the volume of A. So it's saying in 1 unit of time, a whole bath would empty out if it continued at that flow rate. So that's kind of unlike, if we're talking about a second or a minute even, a whole one's probably a bit slow. So let me make a note of what units I'm going to predict we're working in. So units, seconds. and then I'm going to say, well, K1 in 1 second, maybe 1,000th of the volume is going to flow out. So let's just set them all to that as a kind of estimate that's going to give me something that I might expect is reasonable. So that means if it carried on at that full rate, in 1,000 seconds, the whole bath would be empty. So sort of reasonable. Right, so I've defined I've unpacked my argument, I've defined my variables, and I've calculated my derivatives. So now I need to return this list here. So return RA, RB, RC, RD, and obviously I need to put commas in.